Welcome back to Johnny Roland News, Guns, and Motorsports. And now here with today's topic, and anything else Johnny finds interesting. International Firearms Authority, engineer, automotive designer, entertainer, radio and TV host, and all-around great guy. Here's Johnny Roland.
And thank you, Brother Jay. Friends, we are back with you. I am Johnny Roland. So happy to be coming to you. Wherever you are in our still great country, we appreciate so much, certainly this great radio station in the Texas Panhandle, KDDD, but also the giant international digital radio network, TogiNetRadio.com, and we appreciate the opportunity to reach out across our country and around the world. And certainly glad to have you with us wherever you are in our country. We have special guests with us today, and you know, motorsports is part of what we do, and I want to encourage motorsports and certainly things that happen in Texas. And there is a great Texas company. They're called Lone Star Classics, and we have the man in charge, Brian Alexander, on the line with us. Brian, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Sir, I'm proud to be here, and we appreciate so much you taking time to join us because you're doing something that I think a lot of people dream about doing at some point in their lives, or if you like cars at all, well, you have I hesitate to call it a kit, but you do sell a kit for building an automobile, but you have some of the nicest, and I can say this, Shelby Cobra replicas. And of course, it's Lone Star Classic, and these are one of the real icons in the automotive world and have been since the 1960s. And you folks, tell me something, Brian. What caused you to want to build one of these replicas, sir?
Well, you know, these replicas like these are really unique. You know, they get attention everywhere you go. It's really kind of impossible for everyone not to notice it when it's going down the road. And I saw one going down the road, you know, a good 15 or so years ago, and thought to myself, I've got to have one of those. So I did a little bit of research, and lo and behold, the company was in my hometown, which is, in this industry, a rare thing since there's very few of us.
Sure. And
we're all spread across the country. So I ventured into the company, took a tour, and at that time the company was owned by a different gentleman, mm-hmm. and I decided to build one of these myself with my dad. Mm-hmm. And after coming in here a few times, the owner, I guess, took to me, and he offered me a job. And what better of a dream to have?
Oh man,
work here, you know. So,
absolutely. So from that point forward, you literally worked your way in other words, and of course now you have the company.
That's right. Yes, I worked my way from the bottom up. I bought the company from the previous owner in 2007. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was the acting general manager, I guess, about 5 years before I bought it.
Well, that says a lot, because in this kind of business where you're working, and one of the reasons I'm such a fan, and let's talk about one, this is Lone Star Classics, and you're in Fort Worth, Texas, another great Texas company. And in fact, Carroll Shelby came from right here in Texas, and certainly some of his legendary racing experiences were right here. So, excuse me, I think this is a great way to continue that legacy, because here you have the imagination, the things that come from being in a place where you can live out your dreams. So and you're helping a lot of other people live out their dreams. Am I right, sir?
You are, and it's you know, every time we deliver the kits, it's almost like we're Santa Claus, and it's Christmas for them.
You know, well, your website is LoneStarClassics.com, and these are some terrific looking cars, folks. LoneStarClassics.com. There in Fort Worth, Texas. And we have several things we want to ask Brian about, and certainly we appreciate him taking time to join us, because if you're in business anywhere today, I mean, there are a lot of stresses on everybody, and we appreciate someone taking some time for our audience. This is something, why do you think the Cobra in particular has been such, in fact, it's the number one kit car in the world, that number one design in the world. Am I right, sir?
You are. It outsells all of the kits.
And from a number of different manufacturers. Well, now some of us, the original Cobras were a smaller car, and you've addressed that, haven't you, Brian?
We have. We've extended the wheelbase 4 inches
Mm-hmm.
in the cockpit area so that a taller gentleman can drive the car, and so that their feet aren't being pushed over to the left, because the transmission tunnel in the originals are very large.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, the original car, to bring people to up to speed here, the original Shelby Cobra was an adaptation of a little teeny body, which was the AC, which was a British automobile company. And Brian, you certainly could answer this. They actually came with little 4- or 6-cylinder engines. They didn't come with V8s, did they?
Yeah, that's right. The original version, the AC Bristol, was a little 4-cylinder job, and then they, put 6s in them at one point, and then Carroll got a hold of the car and talked Ford into building these race cars.
Mm-hmm.
And so Ford Edsel had just recently hit the streets and was one of the worst ideas that had, at that point, and had very low sales. So they had all these engines left over. They were slated for the Ford Edsel.
Really?
So, Carroll was like, well, let's do something with these engines. Let's put them in this little car.
Well, hold that thought. Friends, we're going to take a little break. Our special guest is Brian Alexander from Lone Star Classics. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more of Johnny Roland News, Guns, and Motorsports. Infotainment at its best. I hope you're enjoying the ride. Johnny Roland returns after this short break. We will be right back.
This is a public service announcement. The County Clerk's Office is accepting applications for early voting by mail for the Moore County Hospital District bond election. This office will accept applications from all Moore, Hartley, and Sherman County residents located within the Moore County Hospital District. Reasons for voting by mail are 65 years of age or older, disability, confinement in jail, or expected absence from the county. The office will accept applications through May 1st, 2014. First day to vote early in person will begin April 28, 2014 through May 6, 2014, from 8:30 to 5 p.m. each day at the First Street Annex, 310 East 1st. All voters who live in Moore, Hartley, and Sherman counties that are located in the Moore County Hospital District are eligible to vote early at this location. For more information, please call 935-2009 or 935-6164.
The home at 804 Mills is ready to fill with your favorite things. Ready to move into, this 3-bedroom, 1 3/4 bath is just right. The house boasts a large kitchen and dining combo, wood-burning fireplace, spacious family room. Recent updates include bedroom carpets, metal roof and fence, large patio and cover, recently installed windows and doors. This home also has a 2-car garage with openers. Call us to see this great home at Adrim Land Company, 935-7364, or visit us at www.adrimland.com.
Welcome back to Johnny Roland News, Guns, and Motorsports. And now here with today's topic, and anything else Johnny finds interesting. International Firearms Authority, engineer, automotive designer, entertainer, radio and TV host, and all-around great guy. Here's Johnny Roland.
Thank you, Brother Jay. Thank you so much. Friends, our special guest in this segment is Brian Alexander. He has the great Lone Star Classics Car Company in Fort Worth, Texas. And certainly we encourage you to go to Brian's website, LoneStarClassics.com. And they make a terrific replica of certainly the Shelby Cobra. and the number one design, of course, of all time in the kit car business, but they do a lot more than just have a kit car from some of the things that they offer. Brian, I had never heard that about the Edsel engine supply. See, none of us knows it all, and that's a new one on me. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, they had a huge surplus of these motors that just weren't being used, and Carroll wanted to prove the Cobra, so they dropped some 289s into them, and that was a different Cobra at that point. It was a beefed up version of what the AC Bristol was, but it didn't have the flared fenders and the big open gaping mouth like the 427 body style had.
Well,
427 came later.
Well, as you said, the 427 came later. The first Cobras, like you said, were an adaptation on the little AC Bristol, which is amazing. It worked at all. And one of the things, I mean, I was a kid in 1964 or 5, whatever year it was. There was even a song called "Hey Little Cobra" it was a huge hit record because Carroll had come out of, even though he was a very, very famous race car driver, had been a driver of the year on at least one occasion, maybe more, hugely famous internationally. But here was a Ford, like you said, they just come off that Edsel fiasco, and they had kind of taken a whipping in the press and all, and so they needed a hit. They needed a hit record. And here's Carroll takes a body from an obscure British company and marries a stock car engine with a kind of a throwback British body, and suddenly he's out running Corvettes, he's out running Ferraris, all kinds. So that's amazing. The classic come from behind story. So here you are making a replica. Yours is essentially closer to the 427 SC. Am I correct, Brian?
You are correct.
Which was the 427 Cobra. And here's what the most amazing thing. In actual production, and you jump in, correct me if I'm wrong, don't mind that, you won't hurt my feelings, but in actual production, Carroll Shelby actually only built between 300 and 400 427 Cobras. Am I correct there?
Well, I heard that the rumors are it was somewhere between that and like 3,000, but that was over the course of all the years they built them. But I don't know if that was including the 289s and the 427s.
I think so. So my point here is this was such a legendary car. It's gone on to dominate. There have been many, many more kit cars or kits built than ever were original Cobras. Am I right?
Oh, by far.
Well, what are some of the things that I know, for example, and certainly we're not going to, everybody makes their own product. For example, we've done features in the past on television for the Factory 5 cars. I know they use essentially Mustang parts, and they have a good effort. They sell a lot of cars and all. What sets Lone Star Classics apart as a manufacturer, sir?
Well, there's actually quite a bit. One is of course, the comfortability of our cars. The fact that someone that's 6'4" can get in it and actually feel comfortable. Customers in our cars will sit lower inside the car because our frame is designed differently than others, which allows the seat pans to be in between the rails of the frame instead of sitting up on top. And that gives you another 4 inches. Another thing, too, is that the Lone Star car doesn't use Dillon or Mustang parts. We have a repertoire, I guess you could say, in this industry of being a high-quality kit when it comes to, the car being solid on the road, soft riding. Of course, it's not going to be like a Cadillac by any means, but in comparison to the others, we have one of the softer rides. And the other things, too, is that Lone Star Classics focuses a lot on customer involvement. It's real important to us that, because this is a huge passion for us, and we're definitely not getting rich doing this. But, for us to be involved directly in the customer's build and the birth of this car is special to us because, we build these for ourselves too, so we share that. And we love helping customers, come up with new designs. We look at these cars as a blank slate or a blank canvas, from which to start from. And every one that's built is different than the other. And we're more than willing to, explore different options and upgrades and things to add creativity into the car to really bring the customer himself out in the car. And that means a lot, because when someone comes up to you at a gas station or at a car show and says, "Wow, that is amazing! I love your car," it feels different to the owner when the owner chose everything on that car. He chose the paint color, the interior color, and the various options that you can do on these cars, which is practically endless.
Now, let me jump in for this. This is really important, and one of the reasons that I'm a promoter of the kit car industry, or in fact, this would be more like custom car industry, because what we get at the dealers today, realize that dealerships and manufacturers are working under a massive amount of regulation and constraints, but now we suffer from a lack of cars with what I would call character. And I think this is part of the enduring popularity of your replica as well as some of the others, is the car can be individualized, and of course the capabilities of one of these cars is far beyond. You'd have to spend up $100,000 or so, $100,000 up, to get a car with the capabilities that easily can be built in one of these custom units that you have. And so
right.
you have a chance to be an individual. In fact, an individual can build one of your cars for what you'd pay for one of the custom Harley-Davidson motorcycles, and that's amazing to me.
That's right, and it's not just another motorcycle on the road that only another motorcyclist could tell the difference of. We hear that a lot.
Well, and again, I think seeing what you folks start at, what do your kits actually start at? And of course, again, you're there with the builder now. Let's say this. This is great for somebody who's got their own shop, own garage, own tools. What if someone says, "Well, I'd like one of these cars, but I just really not in a position, or even don't have the time to build it myself"? What do you say then?
Well, we have an option for that, unlike the other guys. We have this unique program called a 7-day build, and it's the only thing like it in the industry. It's a customer, if he could take a week off work, we call it a vacation build, because he needs to take that week off work and come to our factory. If he's got an RV, he can even hook into our facility. We have RV connections at our facility.
No kidding.
Park in our lot.
That's great.
We've had people do it. And we build their car with them here in our shop in 7 days.
That's amazing. So you actually can put this together. Of course, you have components on hand. You're not, and one of the things, and like I said, I like the Factory 5 folks. I like their stuff, but their Factory 5 car is only going to be as good as those parts you may find out here in the junkyard. And I like junkyards. To me, a junkyard is almost like candy store. Go out and see what's available.
Candy, yeah.
Yeah, but you folks, your Lone Star Classic is a little different from that. Tell us how that differs, sir.
Well, when you go to put when you do the donor route, you first have to locate the car, and then you're dealing with a car that may have been involved in an accident, or it's really, really old and worn out. And either way, it's sitting in a field somewhere. Once you have removed that part from the car, you have to take it home and recondition that part before you can put it on your kit. And then you're dealing with a part that was designed for something else.
Right.
Just for an example, like shocks, and steering rack and pinions. I mean, these things were designed for a 3,500-pound Mustang with a power rack and pinion steering box. And you got to put that in a Cobra replica that weighs 2,300 pounds. And you can't use the power steering pump anymore, and the springs are useless. So there's a lot of things that you have to change that you can't use. So the donor route is I think it's way more trouble than it's worth.
Well, in your case, you supply all these parts. Am I correct?
We do, yeah. All of our parts come with the kit, so you don't have to go source those parts from another vehicle. And they're all brand new, high-end components that we've selected from the industry. They're popular and well-known name brands and well-trusted, so that when the car's done, it's built of high-end components.
Well, the worst thing, certainly as yours truly has had hot rods over these years, and the last thing you want to do is be broken down on the side of the road, having to call somebody to come get you and get a record to bring in, and especially if you have a car that gets some notoriety. And how do I know this? Because I've been there. You got a car with notoriety that, whoa, man, everyone, especially everyone who comes by whose car is through, is pointing out the window, look and said, oh, man, look at that. That's and all you can do is hang your head, and you don't grin and bear it, you just bear it, because there's no grin about it. So that's the last thing. I just see this as really important, having quality of components and be sure they're fitted right. To me, that's a big deal. So, friends, we got a minute for a break, and I hope, Brian, can you stay with us for a few minutes, sir, on the other side of the break? Okay, great, because we got some things, because I want to ask you about this. What about, now, of course, the classic Cobra normally is seen with an open top. Do you have, like, a soft top available for these things, sir?
We don't offer soft tops, but we do offer removable hard tops.
Ah, okay.
We are big on function over form. And soft tops, unfortunately, for replicas like these, are novelties. Some of the companies will throw them in with a kit if you buy it. It's one of those deals that the windshield was never designed for a soft top to attach to it, and so wind, buffers in pretty bad from the windows, and it grabs hold of the back of the top, and it kind of pulls back that top.
Right.
And it's not really that good.
Well, friends, we're going to take a little break for just a moment. Our special guest is Brian Alexander from Lone Star Classics. I'm Johnny Roland. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Stay tuned for more of Johnny Roland News, Guns, and Motorsports. Infotainment at its best. I hope you're enjoying the ride. Johnny Roland returns after this short break. We will be right back.
March in Red River means fun in the southwest sun and snow. Red River Ski and Snowboard area is ready for spring break with our beach week starting March 9th. Keep an eye out for the Golden Lobster from our spring break scavenger hunt. Join us for the big spring break torchlight parade and fireworks show on March 12th, and we'll see all the kids at the Glow Stick Parade on the 14th. Don't forget our We Be Jammin' Evening Rail Jam on March 15th, as well as our annual Pond Skim on March 23rd. Book online for great values at redriverskiarea.com. Red River Ski Area, family friendly for over 50 years.
Don't worry, be happy.
Come on and get happy with us at First Christian Church. We know happiness is not a mood, but it's a decision. We feel the Bible contains the answers for life, and we have decided to follow Jesus, our Savior. Join us for the good news on true happiness. We are located at the corner of 5th Street and Maddox Avenue. We gather for worship at 10 a.m. each Sunday, with Sunday school starting at 9 a.m. We have Bible-centered activities for all ages on Wednesday evenings.
Don't worry, be happy.
Welcome back to Johnny Roland News, Guns, and Motorsports. And now here with today's topic, and anything else Johnny finds interesting. International Firearms Authority, engineer, automotive designer, entertainer, radio and TV host, and all-around great guy. Here's Johnny Roland.
Thank you, Brother Jay. I appreciate your kind words. Of course, there are those that would dispute the all-around great guy part, but hey, they're not here today. Our special guest in this segment of our program is Brian Alexander from Lone Star Classics in Fort Worth, Texas. They are one of the premier builders of Carroll Shelby Cobra replicas, and I can say that. You wouldn't say that, Brian, but I can. That's what these are replicas of, and it's just enlightening to hear how you folks do it. When we went to break, we were talking. You actually have a removable hardtop. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
And let me ask a question here, and realize it gets one. I think that's a terrific idea because, especially like here in the Panhandle, we may drive. Dust storms happen, and let me tell you what. You better have the windows rolled up tight, because let me tell you, you don't want to be caught on a motorcycle or in an open top vehicle out here in a dust storm, and not very often they come, but occasionally they do, and that would be most unpleasant. And let me ask, this may be an ignorant question on my part, please forgive me if it is, do you have air conditioning available in these things?
That's a common question, and yes, it is available.
No kidding. All
yeah.
right. For those of us who are somewhat familiar with the originals, I mean, I don't even think the originals had heaters. Maybe they did. I don't know.
If you ask Carol, when he was alive, if his cars ever came with heaters, he would say every one of them. And it's called the engine, and it comes right through the football.
And most of us will not spend the career of our automobile on a race course somewhere. And I did have the good fortune to actually know Carol Shelby, and not real well, but certainly Carol was always very nice. We did a piece on the Shelby factory there in Las Vegas, and I never got to interview with Carol. I was out there one day, and we just come from SEMA and ran into him, and he said, call me Carol. I said, Mr. Shelby to me, and he said, John, I said, I just not up to an interview today. I just came from SEMA. I'm tired. He said, and believe it or not, this is one of my Carol Shelby stories. He was driving a Dodge Shadow that apparently he got from Iacocca, but it was a turbo Shadow. And he laughed. He said, this thing's got 380 horses at the wheels. He says, I've been out chasing BMWs in the canyons. And, Carol has already had a heart transplant, all this. This was like in 2005 or somewhere there, 6. And I just thought that was such a fun thing because he wasn't kidding. He was a fun guy to the end. And I saw him several times. We actually have a cameo of Carol in a music video that's still on YouTube, My Mustang by Johnny Roland. It's a fun video we've actually got. That's my only time of getting him on tape. But his car, his accomplishments live on. And that mystique actually has no indication of fading, huh, Brian?
That's right.
Well, on one, certainly having some basic amenities like air conditioning and heat. On this, you said it weighs 2,300 pounds, which is what, 1,200 or so pounds less than a Mustang. Do you need power steering?
Oh no, we use a manual racking pinion. It's designed for a vehicle that's slightly heavier than ours, but it's commonly used on street rods.
Mm-hmm. So you really don't have to have power steering. You probably use power brakes, huh?
Well, the car again is so light that we've had customers use power brakes before, but we use these brakes that are super big. I mean, they're 4-piston calipers. Mm-hmm. So you've got a total of 16 pistons on your front and rear of your car, stopping a car that weighs 2,300 pounds. So they do a pretty good job of stopping it with manual brakes.
Really? Well, let me ask you this, and of course you use various engines. I don't know. I would suspect the demand's low. Do you ever have someone want to put a Chevrolet engine in your car?
Yeah, we do. I would say about once or twice a year we will have someone buy a kit and put a Chevy 350 in it.
Which, hey, I like historically, and that would make the Cobra collectors turn over in their, in their sleep. I mean, but so what? I mean, but still, the primary powertrain source, of course, and the mystique part of this is the Ford power for the Ford fans, and of course you'll have people buy these that have some other kind of car. It's not, but just keeping with the original quasi-construction or parts list of the car. And, of course, that was part of the mistake to take a pedestrian Ford power plant and go out and beat the Ferraris. But do you have a favorite powertrain, sir?
I do. The 351 Windsor, and we're actually a dealer ourselves for a company called Engine Factory. They're they make these turnkey engines that are all you have to do is give them fuel and tire. And that's really great for this industry. It's easier for customers to put the cars together. They don't need to know about engines. And it's easy for us because we can just buy the engine and drop it in and start it. But the 351 Windsor that they offer, they've got two of them that I'm kind of torn in between. One is a 427, and so what it is actually a 351 Windsor that's been bored and stroked to a 427. So inside it's a 427, but on the outside it's a 351.
Right.
That's 537 horsepower, and that's a bit much for most people. If you're a type of person that's used to driving, Chevy Mustangs or whatever, cars with lots of horsepower, then that's something you can handle and manage. But if you're not, I would recommend the 400 horsepower 351.
Well, now you've raised a good point for our audience that may not grasp exactly how potent that is. The new Camaros weigh 4,000 pounds, as well as a Dodge Charger weighs like 4,100. All right, that would be like putting roughly 1,000 horsepower in one of the new Camaros. Would you agree?
I would agree, yes. It'd be very close to that.
So just think about what it would be like to have, you got a 535 horsepower Cobra replica, weighs 2,300 pounds, and you got a Camaro. See, the Camaros don't come with it. They only come with 500 something as their top model, and literally doubling the power available in the Camaro. Brutal acceleration would be an understatement, huh, Brian?
That's correct. Yeah, Carol used to do this thing where he would put a $100 bill on the dash. He would tape it to the dash of the Cobra, and he would tell everyone that went for a ride with him, in between 0 and 100, if you can grab that $100 bill off the dash, it's yours. That's still an amazing thing.
And, and from having ridden in one of those genuine FIA Cobras, I didn't get it literally until I got that experience over in the right seat. And there's something to that. Of course, one, you're talking about a power plant that is not going to be real. Years ago I had a Boss 429 Mustang. I had to change plugs in it every week. I mean, that's not the case with this. I mean, you're pretty much normal maintenance and tuning that we would be accustomed to with a production car. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Well,
there's
go ahead. Yeah,
very little to it, really.
Well, and let me ask this for just on a personal note: is these engines that you folks use most commonly are these electronic ignitions, or they're not points and plugs? I'm sure.
No, they are electronic ignition, but they are carbureted like the original. We don't believe in putting the fuel injection motors into the replicas because it's not very easy because of the extra wiring and sensors and things required. But B, because when you go to a show or you're pull up to get gas, and so the first question out of people's mouths are always, "What's under the hood?" And so you tell them it's 351, and they want to see it or whatever, and you raise the hood, and they see wires and fuel injection, and it's all of a sudden the glimmer of the eye just disappears. Right. And they're hoping to see Cobra on the valve covers, sure, and stuff like that. So on the air cleaner, they want to see the big oval air cleaner that the Cobra's famous for.
Well, and a lot of folks don't realize that carburetors actually, when you come down to it on horsepower, carburetors will, in fact, you have to do more tuning, but a carburetor will make every bit as much or more horsepower than an injection system. I mean, it's a very,
absolutely.
It's mature technology. And of course, my another question I had, I'm sure you get somebody occasionally that wants to put one of the newer Ford Coyote engines in. Am I correct? And is that and let me ask you this: what is your transmission of choice behind? Can someone get an automatic if they want one?
You can put an automatic in if you'd like. There is plenty of room for it. Those are larger transmissions, but they will fit. The most common transmission the customers will use is a Tremec 5-speed. And since our car is 4 inches longer than everyone else's, we can accommodate the 6-speed transmission as well.
I would see that as a real advantage, being able to do that. And let me ask you this: what rear end ratio do you folks normally ship with those?
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. What rear end ratio for the real car enthusiasts out there? And of course, let's say this one. Now, this model of the Cobra is not specifically. This is not designed for 200 miles an hour. I mean, that's why the Daytona Coupe. So really, you don't deliver a car that you expect someone to go 200 miles an hour in. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah, the gear ratios that we recommend are really set up for those people who are driving on the street mostly, and that are going to be, enjoying the car between 0 and like 130. And that's spirited driving there. But you get a ratio that, like you were talking about, for a car that goes 200 miles an hour, you're going to end up robbing the power band, coming short of your power band of your engine, and you're not going to ever really utilize your full power, from your motor, because you'll never be going that fast.
That's really true, and someone will say, well, what they talking about, 130 miles an hour? Well, wait a minute. There are a number of courses. One, I think, there in Fort Worth, certainly one here close by in Oklahoma. There are a number of places you can take these cars and actually exercise them legally. I mean, we're talking about there are courses, and please fill us in, but I'm sure I'm correct on that. There are places you can go and drive these cars and really at their maximum. Am I right, sir?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hear all the time from customers of different runs that they do. The Bondurant run. There's lots of sanctioned events that are out there where people can, there's straight line roads that are flat for miles that they can get up to as fast as they can. And then I've got a lot of customers that do club racing, and that's basically where you have a membership at a local track, like a road course track. We have 2 or 3 here in just the DFW Metroplex.
Well, friends, we got to take a quick break. Brian, can you stay with us for a few minutes, sir?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, friends, we're going to take a quick break. I'm Johnny Roland, joined by our special guest, Brian Alexander from Lone Star Classics. We'll be back in just a moment. Please stay with us.
Stay tuned for more of Johnny Roland News, Guns, and Motorsports. Infotainment at its best. I hope you're enjoying the ride. Johnny Roland returns after this short break. We will be right back.
Bigger doesn't always mean better at your locally owned family farm store, 501 North Dumas Avenue in Dumas. We pride ourselves on being a family farm store and a whole lot more. We have animal health and food products, full tire sales and service, stock fencing material, plumbing and electrical supplies, power hand tools, work clothes, truck, tractor and car accessories, hardware, Wrangler jeans, interstate batteries, beautiful gift items by Montana Silver, and toys for the kids. There's much, much more at your locally owned family farm store, 501 North Dumas Avenue, or call us at 935-7719. And remember, we're your farm store and a whole lot more.
Caring for our community's health is our mission. At Moore County Hospital District, we are committed to ensuring the most up-to-date equipment, the best technology, and the qualified staff for your family. Community health care with a special touch. We're your community hospital. Moore County Hospital District. Exceptional care, always.
Welcome back to Johnny Roland News, Guns, and Motorsports. And now here with today's topic, and anything else Johnny finds interesting. International Firearms Authority, engineer, automotive designer, entertainer, radio and TV host, and all-around great guy. Here's Johnny Roland.
Thank you, Brother Jay. Friends, we're back with you. One of the ways we are here with you is because of another great Texas company, the Synergen Company, from down in Houston, Texas, and they make additives for your oil and for your fuel, whether you use gasoline or diesel fuel. The engine oil additive helps reduce friction in your engine, and the fuel additives help your fuel burn more efficiently. What this means for you is an increase at your bottom line. It means better gas mileage, better longevity for your automobile. Certainly you can go to Synergen, SYNERGYN-USA.com, SynergenUSA.com to find out about all their products. They have a great line of agriculture products, including a new gun lube, certainly something we're very impressed with. You can order products from Amazon.com, or or you can give them a call on the toll-free number 855-297-9181. Again, SynergenUSA.com, 855-297-9181. And we appreciate their support for our program. We're joined by a special guest in this segment, Brian Anderson from the Lone Star Classics. Brian Alexander, excuse me, sir. I have a good friend named Brian Anderson. Lone Star Classics in Fort Worth, Texas, and they build one of the premier Cobra replicas out there, and certainly I have good reference on their products from some folks there at the Kit Car Builder magazine, certainly some people that I know that have highly recommended Lone Star Classics. And we were talking about places that you can enjoy the capabilities of your car. And there are more than you might think. Well, tell me something, Brian. I would imagine that your cars stack up well in competitions with the other Cobra type cars out there.
Yeah, there's we do cater to the street, and so if someone was calling me and they're looking for strictly a race car, I may not tell them that ours is going to be their best choice, because ours is a great handling car and everything, but it's we might be a couple or 100 and maybe 150 pounds heavier than the guys that are focusing mostly on racing. But I mean, we still have lots of customers that play with them on the track, but the majority of our customers are street drivers.
Well, which is much more practical, and you can still have more fun. There are things we can do that when we have a street rod or hot rod, that if you go that 99th percentile of competition ready, and then the car becomes not pleasant to drive or use on the street.
That's right.
Here's something you have that acceleration will scare anyone half to death, but it's still practical with air conditioning available. And just like, I didn't know you had the detachable top. In fact, when we get down, at some point I want to come by and visit with you folks at the factory. We'll bring our camera, and certainly we're working on a car club event here in the Panhandle, and I'd like to invite, maybe you've got a customer somewhere in our area that could come by and display the car, because to me this is exciting stuff, and it's a wonderful hobby. And here you have the deal that if someone doesn't have all the tools or have the time, they can actually come to the factory and build the car on site in 7 days. That's pretty amazing. So that you folks would offer that. And I ask about, because we saw here recently where there was a crime incident where some people tried to steal, I forget what it was. It was something with a manual transmission. And they beat up the guy because his car wouldn't work. They could not drive a manual transmission. And I mean, the thieves could not. So you actually have the option of an automatic if someone wants one.
Yeah, we do.
Well, I see this as just really, really positive. I mean, you can get your sound system and things. Now, I'm a taller person, and this is most appealing to me because in the original type Cobra, I'm somewhat cramped, and it sounds like you may be a taller person. Like you said, you designed it for someone 6'4", or so at least.
Yeah, I'm 6'2" myself.
Okay.
And with big feet, usually, your taller guy's going to have bigger feet, and he's going to need that extra room in the pedals too. So we've accommodated that too as well. Well,
it's also a very nice looking package that you folks have. What sort of fiberglass or what's your car made of?
Well, it's made of a composite material. A lot of people haven't heard of it because it's only been out a few years, but it's called vinyl ester. It's actually 2 words. And, it's the story of the mortar and the brick. You can build a house with mud, but it's not going to last all that long, and it's not going to be that sturdy, opposed to, adding the right elements to that mud to make it mortar. So the resin that we use, which is the vinyl ester, is what we add to the cloth material, which is the fiber part of it. And it's a hand-laid process where you actually have someone, rolling this material out with this gel stuff that he's pressing into the mold, pushing all the air out and making it nice and smooth. and then he unbolts this big, large mold, and out comes this body. It's extremely rigid, and we make a unibody, which is the only one like it in the industry. And that's really the reason we're able to do these 7-day builds, because if you had to install the floor and the trunk and your dashboard and fender wells and all that, if you had to install that after the fact, after you get your kit from the manufacturer, there's no way you could put the car together in a week.
Right.
So we do all that ahead of time.
Well, that's certainly having owned a Corvette in the past. I know you had to be very careful. Somebody who's an idiot in some old piece of a truck or something, some old pulpwood truck comes up, and boy, they get out and they open that door as hard as they can in the side. And how is this material at one? It's sustaining damage, which is going to happen in parking lots, or repair.
It's actually really neat. It scores high on both of us. If someone was to open the door into your door and into your fiberglass cover door, it's not going to ding it, because fiberglass doesn't ding. It takes an awful lot to damage fiberglass. And in other words, it's going to have to be a car accident of some magnitude. And it's going to be a localized damaged area. It's not going to shatter, like if you have a little fender bender in the front corner, it's not going to shatter the whole front section of the car. It's only going to damage that local area there. And that's something that could be easily repaired by, depending on how bad the damage is. It could either be, patched, or it could be a new piece could be cut or made from our mold and replaced on that car. So, like for example, if someone took out the front left corner, we could just go into our mold and make the front left corner, then cut out the damaged area of the damaged body, and basically graft in the new piece very easily.
That's terrific. In other words, if somebody, say in Minnesota, I mean, here you are in Texas, somebody in Minnesota orders a part, somebody with a local fiberglass boat shop could actually install that. Am I right? That's
correct. Any body shop could do it. The painter that painted the car originally could do it.
That is just neat as can be. Question for you, on kit cars, how are these cars licensed, especially here in Texas? That's what we're mostly concerned with.
Okay. Well, Texas, believe it or not, is actually one of the harder states to register these cars in. And so what Lone Star Classics did is, when it started business back in 1991, it became a certified automotive manufacturer. And to do that, we had to go through the license things to get our, we had to go through the proper steps with the state to get titles, the VIN numbers, and such. And so the VIN numbers that we apply to these cars are actually full 17-digit VIN numbers that follow the codes that are required by the DMV. So when a customer finishes their car, whether we build it for them or they finish it at home, a Texas customer would just contact us for the paperwork. And then there's a few things we get from them, and then we register it for them in their name. And the car is registered as the year it was assembled. So, like, if it was built this year, it would be 2014, LS-427. And so Lone Star Classics comes up in the motor vehicle department as a car maker.
Well, that's pretty amazing. Well, here, because it's a replica of a car built in roughly 1967 or so, before some of the more extreme EPA laws came into effect. So you actually have a little more flexibility there. Am I right?
Oh, we have a lot. In fact, because our cars are limited production vehicles, we are exempt from emissions. So we don't have to use the catalytic converters and the computers and nonsense like that. The cars have to use, in modern day cars.
Boy, talk about simplicity. And of course the numbers here, and these modern engines are much cleaner, much more efficient. We've learned a lot in automotive technology since 1965, and these are going to be much cleaner running engines anyway. And that's a subject for another day. We have we had a news item, Brian, I don't know if you are familiar with this or not. We had a news item yesterday where the single highest paid employee at the EPA for years turned out to have no qualifications at all and he just made up a lot of the regulations that we're still under. I mean, that's incredible. That happened. So, one, this gives us the opportunity to own a real classic design, but with a whole lot of modern engineering improvements. And I'm sure your car is much safer than the original model because of your construction techniques and your materials. Would you agree with that?
I do. I would totally agree with that.
Well, friends, I tell you what, this has really been a fun hour, Brian. I appreciate so much you taking time to be with us, and I know that people all over the country and other countries even that listen, they can go to LoneStarClassics.com. They're in Fort Worth, Texas, and that's the best way. Just see what you folks have, and I know that you folks are there. You have phone numbers on the site, contact info, and we would invite people to. Brian, it's been a real pleasure having you with us, sir.
It's been our pleasure, Johnny. We appreciate it very much.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to look you folks up. We get down there and look forward to meeting you in person and seeing your stuff. This is exciting, and we want to promote motorsports for our region and the country for that matter, because so many benefits come from younger people and older people actually appreciating and understanding how cars are made. And here's a car that can be made on your own. You can make it like you want to, that will perform with anything on the road you're going to encounter on the planet. So, Brian, thank you so much again for being with us, sir. We'll look forward to talking with you soon.
Sounds great.
Great.
Bye-bye.
And friends, that, of course, Brian from Lone Star Classics in Fort Worth, Texas. And, we want to bring more features like this to our program. Motorsports is indeed a great area that has a lot of historical significance for our country and our progress. So many times developments we saw on race cars and motorsports eventually came around to normal use, regular use in daily passenger cars. Exciting stuff. So Lone Star Classics. Friends, I'm so sorry. We're out of time. How did this happen? Well, friends, hope you have a good weekend. I'm Johnny Roland. Thank you so much for being with us on today's program.
95.3 FM KDDD, Dumas, Texas, your voice of the North Plains.
Hope you have a good weekend. I'm Johnny Roland. Thank you so much for being with us on today's program.
95.3 FM KDDD, Dumas, Texas, your voice of the North Plains.